With Manchester United's form so far this season being a little bit of a roller coaster, Rasmus Højlund has probably been the one consistent positive for Manchester United and Erik ten Hag this season, but particularly the fans. This feels like a player that we can all get behind, back, root for, and he's also delivering on the pitch, which certainly helps things. Today I want to look at what he's doing well, why I'm so excited and impressed with what he's shown in the opening weeks, but also a few areas where he could improve. Just quickly before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel, because when we hit 20,000 subscribers, we've got some new stuff coming to the channel. There's going to be the potential to become a channel member for a small fee every month, meaning that you will get a custom emoji pack which you can use on the channel, and also custom badges as a loyalty bonus. And on top of that, we will be getting a new camera as soon as we hit 20,000 subscribers, and also a new background will be in place. So if you want all of that stuff, subscribe to the channel. But now what you're here for today, Rasmus Højlund, let's get into why I've been so impressed. And of course, on a base level, you can look at the goals, see he's Manchester United's second highest goal scorer this season, and that's definitely something to be excited about because he's putting the ball in the back of the net. And of course, he's also had a couple of goals which have been a little bit harshly disallowed. But it isn't just the goals which are impressing me, it's his all-round game. And I think what I actually probably like the most is that for once, it feels like we're getting everything we were expecting from a signing. So when I was talking about my videos in pre-season, what Rasmus Højlund will bring to Manchester United if he signs, I feel like we're seeing that. So it starts with his brilliant hold-up play. Now, I think, of course, being a young player still, he could get better at using his body and almost understanding his body a little bit more. But regardless of that, I love a striker personally who is happy to have physical contact with a centre-back, get touch tight, be nice and aggressive, pin centre-backs, and then try and hold the ball up. Now, from a technical point of view, again, he could do with a bit of work on his first touch. It isn't perfect. But regardless of that, considering this is, again, a young player, playing against some real senior defenders, both in the Premier League and the Champions League, I think he's been doing really well. And we can look at some of these clips using Once Video Analyzer Pro, a great video analysis software which you guys can check out using the link in the description. But I've got an example like this against Crystal Palace right here. And I just love the fact that he wants this physical contact with a centre-back. I don't know if it's just me, let me know if you agree in the comments down below. But I just love a player which wants that kind of rough and tumble, that physical contact. It's almost a little bit old school. But I just love to see it, particularly from a big striker. It's just really satisfying to watch. And as this clip plays out here, you can see he's happy to have this physical contact, pull away from his man, and then release the ball to someone else. And, you know, this isn't a one-off thing. We've been seeing him do it in pretty much every game so far this season. If I can find a clip here real quick. Again, on this situation here, he's happy to go towards the ball. He's happy to kind of feel that physical contact with the defender and hold the ball up really effectively. And of course, what this does, when he's kind of bringing his physical contact and drawing players towards him, one, he's creating space for others to run into, as we can see for Christian Eriksen here, but also he's buying time, allowing other people to get further up the pitch in support of him. If you are a smaller, less physical player, it's difficult to hold off a defender, and at times it means you become isolated because your teammates can't get around you. Whereas with Rasmus Højlund right now, because he's able to be physical, he's able to hold his own in these battles, it allows other players, as we can see here, to get closer to him, and that means that he then has an easier pass, which means that he becomes less isolated. But it's through work which he's doing himself, which again is something I really like to see. We've got another example here. This will just be quickly the last one we'll look at. Again, he is happy to feel this physical contact, and it doesn't bother him that these are big, experienced defenders. He's able to hold these players off and then bring other people into play. And we'll stop that clip there before Casemiro absolutely boots it in behind. But from kind of the base point of view, what we were hoping for from Rasmus Højlund from a tactical point of view was that at times the opposition will press United super high and it will be difficult to get out from the back. But by having Rasmus Højlund, you can go long to him, he can hold the ball up, battle defenders, and allow people to get towards him. I think we've certainly seen that in the opening weeks, which has been really exciting. Now, of course, being physical, battling defenders and holding the ball up is one thing. After that, you need a bit of technical quality on the ball to actually make it worthwhile. There's no use fighting a centre-back if you then give the ball away every time you try and pass the ball. But I wouldn't say Rasmus Højlund's been doing that. And again, I have been impressed with him from a technical point of view, bringing others into the game. Now, this is probably the area where at the moment it feels like he needs the most work. He's had some games where he's been really technically clean, like Galatasaray for example, and brought players in around him really, really well. There have been other games where he's a little bit sloppy and a little bit loose with his pass, but I think that's to be expected from this profile of striker this early in his career. I'm sure he will improve. But in general, I think he has done a good job of initially pinning these players, but then bringing others into the game. Whether that be with kind of short backward passes, passes for others to run onto, or even passes around the corner to kind of exploit in behind the defence a little bit more. Again, I think Rasmus Højlund has been impressive in this way. And again, of course, to back this up, we've got some more clips for it. So here we've got Rasmus Højlund against Brighton, and we can see that he's driving forward with the ball initially. But importantly, what he's going to do is realise that he can't take on the whole team by himself, which of course is good decision making in the first place, but he's going to slow it down, play it a little bit simple, again kind of engage in that physical contact, draw the defender in towards him, but then just play a nice little simple pass to bring others into the game. This allows him to connect the United attack, particularly in transition. Again, he's delaying the opposition, he's buying time for his teammates to get around him, and then importantly, he is finding his teammates with these passes, which is really good and really important to see. Again, it's an area of his game which could do with a bit of improvement because he's not there yet, he is a little bit raw. But when he's doing things like this in the Champions League, in big matches for Manchester United, it's just incredibly satisfying to see. This time he kind of curls the ball around the outside to Marcus Rashford on the far side, and then you can see his intent straight away is to get towards the penalty area once he's released that pass, which is another good thing to see. But in general, I think he is linking the play for Manchester United incredibly well. We've got another clip here. This time for Pellistri is going to pass the ball into the feet of Rasmus Højlund. Now what he does is he takes a good first touch, he carries the ball a couple of yards, and then Pellistri is going to go on the overlap down the right hand side. Now Rasmus Højlund's going to take his time, carry the ball forward, and then slide the ball back through to his teammate to run onto, and again it's a perfect way of pass. Pellistri gets on the end of it. I can't actually remember if anything came from this chance, but it's a good ball. It gets Pellistri into a dangerous area, and again it shows a different side of Rasmus Højlund's game. He isn't just this big powerful striker, there's also a real technical profile in there as well, which as he improves and kind of matures and grows as a footballer, could become a real deadly combination. Again, we can see it here. He's dropped into more of a false nine position almost here, really far away from the two Crystal Palace centre-backs. But again, he's going to keep things nice and simple. You know, here he could turn and run and carry the ball at the defence, but instead he keeps it nice and simple, brings his midfielder into the game who's able to step the ball forward and progress the attack for Manchester United. And that's another good thing that we're seeing in his game. There it is. It's a maturity in terms of his decisions. Whilst his execution on certain passes has been lacking a little bit, I think his decisions have largely been very, very good. Now, of course, sometimes the decision he is making is to play it simple, play a pass off to someone else. But there's also situations where he's eyeing up a defender and going, yeah, I fancy I can beat you in a 1-versus-1 situation. And when he's doing this, he's showing a real good ball carrying ability. Now, this is probably a side to his game we haven't seen as much as I would like at Old Trafford. However, when we've seen it in snippets, again, I think it looks really good. He's a big, powerful player. He's able to keep the ball close to himself, but also he's incredibly quick. So when he gets into these positions, he is lightning fast with the ball at his feet. And if he can, as he matures, make sure that he matches his dribbling speed with his sprinting speed, then oh my, there's a dangerous player in there. We saw it, of course, in this game here, where he just races in behind the defence and they never get particularly close to him. It looks like the defender's actually in a decent position, but the whole way Rasmus Højlund just keeps pulling away from him. Now, we'll come back to the actual finish in a second, but to have that separation with a defender from the halfway line all the way into the penalty area is really good endurance sprinting. Some players are quick over 10 or 15 yards, but then they slow down a little bit. This is real good endurance sprinting. He's covered a lot of distance with this sprint. He's also maintained upper body strength the whole time, holding the defender off. Physically, those are really, really good traits for him to have, and they will kind of set him off very, very well in his career moving forward. But this isn't the only time he's done it. Like I said, we'll come back to that finish in a second. But here, for example, he drops a little bit deeper. Initially, now we see a bit more of a technical dribble, taking the ball past Will Hughes, kind of knocking the ball past him. But then again, we see that power, the acceleration, the ability to drive forward with the ball through the heart of the Crystal Palace defence. And again, this really carries the United team up the pitch into dangerous areas. And it makes him an incredible outlet as a player. If you can sometimes go long into his chest, and he's going to hold the ball up and bring others into play. But then on other occasions, he's going to get the ball into his feet, turn and drive at the opposition, and progress you a good 30-40 yards like we've seen in the last 2 clips. That's, of course, such an incredible thing to have in a football team. A player which can so comfortably, but also so consistently, gain you a lot of ground. This clip I particularly liked against Galatasaray, because this time he's going to go out wide, down the wing, and again, nothing particularly comes off it. He ends up putting a good cross into the box, but I just love the fact that he skins a fullback in this way. The fact that he has the confidence to do it, but also the skill set to pull this off. Again, in a big game, apologies for the glitch there. But again, he's showing that he has that confidence in his own ability to back himself in these situations and beat his man. And like I said, as an outlet for a player, that makes him so dangerous. And then, of course, on top of all of that, we've got what he's doing in the penalty area, where we've seen a couple of disallowed goals. One was incredibly harsh. Was the ball off the pitch? I'm not convinced. But then also we had that other disallowed goal where he definitely was offside, but the composure he showed before putting the ball into the back of the net was absolutely brilliant. And what I like with what we're seeing from Rasmus Højlund so far is the variety of finish we're seeing. So this is, of course, the wrong clip. Let me see if I can find some of the finishes. We're seeing a variety. So this is, of course, that sprint we were talking about earlier where he bursts through the opposition. But then at the end of it, he settles himself and just subtly lifts it over the goalkeeper. It's a beautifully disguised, subtle finish at the end of a marauding, powerful, bull-like run. So that's real good composure. Because, you know, his heart's going to be pumping. He's just covered a lot of yards very quick, absolutely bulldozed his way through. The crowd's behind him, but then he has that composure. Ice cold to just chip the ball into the back of the net. It's a brilliant finish. And I like that we're seeing that side to him. We're seeing different finishes. Now, this next one we're going to look at has a little bit more fortune in it. It's not exactly a world-class finish. But again, it's just a player, a striker, playing in the box, playing in a danger area, and just trying anything to get a shot off a goal. I think that's something United have lacked at times. When Rashford plays up front, he's often not in these areas. And Martial, when he plays up front, he isn't a player who just tries to get a shot off. Here, Rasmus Højlund does, and it pays off. The ball goes into the back of the net. And I really like that about him. Again, it's a different type of finish. And then this last one, of course, is completely different to the rest. Initially, he shows the pace to keep up with Marcus Rashford, which, you know, I certainly couldn't do it, so I think it's quite impressive. But then the desire to get into the penalty area, get his head on that ball and put it into the back of the net. It's a different finish. He's showing what a complete footballer he can be. And this is why I was so excited when Manchester United signed him. Because I think as a profile of player, he's unique. He's got the potential to be a bit of a unicorn player. Now, what we mean when we say that is a player who profiles just differently to what almost anyone else does. The potential for this guy to have incredible technical ability with the unbelievable physical attributes is scary good. And that's why Manchester United spent so much money on him. That's why his start to the season has been so exciting, so good. And I think that's why the fans love him. Now, of course, people shouldn't go over the top with this. He needs to be given time. He is still a young player in a new league, in a new culture, in a struggling side. So we shouldn't expect 10 goals from him every week. Give him time to improve, because he certainly does have weaknesses in his game still. However, if he gets fortune with injuries, the team starts to perform a little bit better, and he just keeps working hard, I don't see any reason why he can't really make it into a top player. A top 5 striker in the world one day. I really do think his profile is that good. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. How excited are you about him? What areas of his game would you like to see him improve a little bit more? And also, what sides of his game have actually surprised you a little bit at how good he is? Also, before you leave, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because like I said, there is new stuff coming when we hit 20k. But apart from that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.